We as Christians have hope that we are going to see our loved ones again, and that we will be in heaven, and that we will be in perfect peace, and that this is not it. In fact, there's something even better awaiting us. So I hope one day that you do seek to find something higher and better, that this is not all for us in our existence. Thank you so much.
We hope and pray on the belief that there is something higher and something better. Charlie Kirk at a rally only weeks ago. Welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Thursday, September 11th, 2025, the most solemn day of the year in the United States. A day when 2,977 families of those killed at the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in D.C., and a field in Pennsylvania cling to that same hope and belief that Charlie Kirk spoke of. Ceremonies taking place today at all three locations commemorating the 24th anniversary of the terror attacks that changed everything. If you were alive on that day, the images are likely popping up in your mind as I speak, right? This is likely going to be a longer than usual podcast, and I am not going to be able to get to all of the segments that I really want to get to. So many great shows and great segments and great comments and conversations yesterday. I encourage you to visit the Newsmax YouTube page and the Newsmax Rumble page or at NewsmaxTV.com on the stream wherever you go to watch reruns. Unless you were watching Newsmax for the past 24 hours, you need to visit one of the places where you can rewatch some of the content. And we start with this morning's Wake Up America.
A nation mourning an attack that continues to shape our country and the world 24 years later.
Yeah, Newsmax correspondent John Glasgow joining us live this morning at the spot where the Twin Towers once stood, a somber day in downtown New York City. Good morning, John.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mark and Charla. And, you know, it never gets easier coming down here, and it's even more difficult for the families of these loved ones that have been lost in the 9/11 attacks. It's hard to believe. 24 years ago this happened. I remember like it was yesterday, and imagine a lot of people are thinking what they were doing on that day in 2001 on September 11th. But these attacks, they did change the world. They did change New York City. A solemn ceremony is held every year down here at the plaza, and it's for the loved ones to be remembered, for the families to come and pay their respects. Today, there's going to be 6 moments of silence. You can hear the bagpipes behind me. They're warming up. It's to fulfill that promise, to never forget what happened here. These moments of silence, they mark the exact times when the hijacked plane struck the World Trade Center, Twin Towers, as well as when those skyscrapers fell, and also what happened at the Pentagon, as well as Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Now, during this morning's ceremony, family members, they're going to read the names of all of the loved ones lost, and then taps will be performed to conclude the ceremony. Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife, Second Lady Usha Vance, were expected to attend today, but plans, they could be changing after the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday in Utah. Today, though, this morning, we are remembering the first responders, all those victims of this terror attack, but we also remember all of the FDNY members who have died since. According to the FDNY, more firefighters have died from 9/11 illnesses than were killed in the attacks themselves. So we cannot forget about all of those people that were part of that cleanup, the search and rescue that dug through all of that debris back in the days following the 9/11. President Trump is also expected to come to New York, not for the ceremony here this morning. However, he will be in the Bronx for a baseball game. It's going to be the Yankees versus the Detroit Tigers. President Trump is expected to attend and mark 24 years since these 9/11 attacks. But today is all about the families, and they're here. You can see they've put some flowers as well as some cards and some little flags in the names that are engraved here at the pools of Lower Manhattan. It's just an incredible and somber time to be down here. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, John Glasgow, appreciate you. Thank you for that report this morning.
This morning's edition of Wake Up America. And President Trump, who was in downtown New York City that day, you've probably seen video of that over the last 24 years, took part in a ceremony at the Pentagon this morning. He'll be flying to New York this afternoon to attend tonight's New York Yankees game. At last night's Yankees game, the Yankees paid tribute to Charlie Kirk with a moment of silence and had his photo up on the Jumbotron in the outfield. And President Trump released this video message from the Oval Office.
This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate.
Previous presidents, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, who we'll talk about a little bit later, and Bill Clinton, all releasing written statements about the killing of Charlie Kirk and the temperature of politics in the country. President Trump has also ordered flags at half-staff. Making an absolutely shocking and horrific situation even worse is the fact that as of this morning, the assassin, the killer, is still on the loose. This is the FBI's special agent in charge of the investigation, Robert Bowles.
We have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle.
On Newsmax, there was a panel discussion late last night among several hosts: Rob Schmitt, Carl Higbie, Greg Kelly, and Rob Finnerty.
Carl, I want to start with you, and let's start with the fact that the shooter is still at large tonight.
I mean, that's the most nerve-wracking thing.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, the internet's got its theories, but right now, you know, the person who did this is still out there. And, you know, this is something, if you can get into the panic crowds, if you can get away from your post without being noticed, you get into the panic crowds, it's very easy to slip away. And it's, you know, this is like a kidnapping. It's, if you have 5-10 minutes to find that person, or it gets a lot harder real quick.
Yeah. Greg, go ahead.
Well, I heard tonight from some security experts, they call it a professional hit. This is professional. And getting away like that, assassins don't get away. John Lennon, they got the guy right away. Lee Harvey Oswald, I think it took a half hour. Who else? Robert F. Kennedy, they grabbed the guy right there. I mean,
John Wilkes Booth on horseback.
Yeah, it's that's astounding. You're right. And but look, Charlie, it's hard to believe he's gone. I really thought he could be president of the United States someday. Mm-hmm. It's a very unusual situation where somebody, I'm decades older than Charlie, but I looked up to him and I admired him and I could learn from him. And America has been set back very far tonight.
It was wild that he was 31. I didn't know that until today. 31. I mean, what he had accomplished in that short life was just incredible. An incredible young man. Rob, go ahead.
And so much changed.
Yeah.
He was shot a little more than 9 hours ago. So much changed today. Charlie Kirk, people forget, there is no Charlie Kirk analog on the left. There is no equal to Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump, you could make the argument he doesn't win Arizona without Charlie Kirk in November. You could make the argument that he doesn't win the election without Charlie Kirk and what Turning Point was doing. But what happened today? This guy wasn't a celebrity. He's not a politician with security. He's been in this building before. He's got private security. Mm-hmm. There's local security, campus security there in Utah. But what does this say about, this is the first truly large social media influencer to ever be taken out by an assassin's bullet.
And we saw
a lot changed today.
Easy it was to do this with nobody knowing it, and they still haven't caught the guy. That's the scary part here.
Yeah.
And you know, if like I said, we've all stood up and given public speeches outdoors.
You're vulnerable.
Does that continue?
And does life change now in America, Rob? Do we do things differently?
A young lady texted me from Turning Point. I won't say who it was, but you know, she was devastated by this. But she said it was only a matter of time. I mean, she really felt that way because she was like, the risk that he's taking. You're going up there, you're going under a tent in front of thousands of people. Many of them viscerally hate you with everything they have on a college campus. How long until somebody crazy walked in with a gun? They talked to kids today that there was no security. They weren't checking even bags. I mean, I'm amazed it hasn't happened already with a pistol or something like that. The risk that he took to do what he did. And let's talk about how important what he did was. Because if there's anything that I think the left has captured effectively, it's the education system in this country, and especially the universities and the colleges. And who was
that's the breeding ground for the left's movement.
Exactly, and they had them all. I mean, how many conservative universities are there in this country? There's like a handful.
At best.
And we talk about at best, and most of them are slowly being captured. He's the one warrior that was going into these places and pulling kids back when they're at their most vulnerable, when their minds are still growing and their minds are still mush, and they're so vulnerable to the ideals of socialism and equity and equality and things like that. They can be bent so quickly. He was in there pulling them back. And what we saw in this last election with young people moving in the direction towards Trump, so much of that is to his credit.
He could out-debate any one of those leftists on those college campuses. I mean, like facts like you wouldn't believe just off the top of his head, and that's what made him so effective.
Exactly right.
You guys have also seen how the left, there has been celebratory moments on the set of TMZ and the disgusting outburst in the House of Representatives when I think they wanted to have a moment of prayer and there was jeering. The left is a very ugly political movement, and I know there's been a smattering of condolences and prayers, but quite frankly, it's been inadequate, and this feels like a very dangerous moment.
Yeah, I agree, and I wonder what happens tomorrow and moving forward, because to me it feels like the left has declared war on the right. It did not begin today, by the way, and it didn't begin in Butler, Pennsylvania last July. Today, they took out somebody who was, there is no equal to what Charlie Kirk has been able to accomplish. By the way, at 18 years old, he started Turning Point.
It's amazing.
And he's 31 now. And the legacy that he leaves behind is remarkable.
That is Rob Finnerty, host of Finnerty, who we'll hear more from in a moment, as well as Greg Kelly, who mentioned an outburst in the House of Representatives. This audio is difficult to hear, but Republican Representative Lauren Boebert from Colorado asked if members would stand for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. This is within a couple of hours of us learning that Kirk did not survive. You remember they said he was in critical condition, then he didn't make it. You can hear groaning amongst the members of Congress, and some members even saying no.
Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
That's House Speaker Mike Johnson trying to regain order in the chambers. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who you heard on yesterday's Newsmax Daily, she's the one, if you heard it, said, "Oh my God, y'all caused this." Don't forget, these are the same people that would not stand for a kid fighting brain cancer at the President's State of the Union address. They're also the same people that voted against the Laken-Riley Act. And they also recently voted against no tax on tips. More from Rob Finnerty.
They tried to kill Donald Trump. They tried to do it twice. And today, at approximately 12:20 p.m. on a college campus in Utah, Charlie Kirk, one of the most popular conservative voices in the country, was killed for absolutely no reason. Today, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The single shot was fired from a building approximately 100 yards away. Charlie was a father. Charlie was a husband. When he was shot, he was wearing a T-shirt that said freedom. They are coming for conservatives. The left are coming for conservatives because that's all they've got left. At Utah Valley University, with more than 1,000 people present, Charlie Kirk was killed. He was hosting one of his Prove Me Wrong sessions where students get to ask Charlie questions, and two people then have a conversation, which should be okay in this country. Charlie died today with a microphone in his hand. Charlie was a trailblazer. Charlie was special. He quit college after just a year because he realized in his first year of college, at a very young age, that he wasn't getting an education. He was being indoctrinated with the same left-wing ideology that thrives on campuses today. After that, at the age of 18, he founded Turning Point USA, and over the last decade, he's traveled to college campuses all around the country. Charlie was about speech. He was about ideas. He was not about this. He was not about violence. And Charlie was a man of God. Charlie made people think. And he has almost single-handedly got young people interested in politics in this country, and he touched an entire generation of Americans. Charlie made it cool to be a conservative in this country, especially if you're a young person. That was Charlie. The question that Charlie was about to address when he was shot today was a question about transgender mass shootings. Charlie never got to answer that question, but we know how he felt. It was not controversial. It was common sense. Charlie's opinion about that topic and so many others was common sense, not to the left, but to anyone with common sense. There are not many people out there right now who did more to help Donald Trump win in November. The president would say the exact same thing. And it was the president of the United States today, a man who has survived 2 assassination attempts himself, who confirmed the death of Charlie Kirk to the rest of the world. President Trump saying the great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. He had 2 children. We love you, Charlie. Charlie Kirk was 31 years old. He had his entire life in front of him. People that knew him well hoped that one day he himself would get into politics, where the possibilities for somebody like Charlie were truly limitless, maybe the White House. The president announcing tonight that flags over the White House and all federal buildings will be flown at half-staff. Charlie's impact was that significant. Charlie Kirk's crime was being willing to have respectful dialogue with people that he disagreed with. You might not like the answers or agree with the answers, but we should all be open to having that dialogue, and they killed him for it hours ago. 2 weeks ago, a trans shooter killed 2 young children praying at a church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Just this week, we learned more about what happened on the light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina, and today, Charlie Kirk is assassinated in cold blood on a beautiful, sunny day in Utah. If there was any lingering question about what the left in this country has become, this should put those questions to rest. Democrats, the left, are the most violent people in America today, and it is no longer a debate. If that question was posed to Charlie, he would probably say the same thing. But do not be scared. Do not be silent. The left wants all of us to be scared into submission. We won't. We would be lying if we said that the impulse wasn't there today. But we cannot stop, and we cannot let them win. What has become a fight, not for this country, but for our basic humanity. We are resolute. This is not over. This is the beginning. Charlie founded Turning Point USA, and this, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a father, a husband, an American, is a turning point for all of us, because Charlie Kirk did not die in vain, and it is up to us to finish what Charlie started.
Rob Finnerty, host of Finnerty, 8 p.m. Eastern. Matt Schlapp, who runs CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, similar to Turning Point USA, had this to say on the record with Greta Van Susteren.
Matt, he's no stranger to you and CPAC, is he?
No, I can remember, probably 10 years ago, he had about 25 youngsters, I would consider them, college and high school kids in red shirts. And they were just getting started as a group, and he's always just been a very decent, warm person. And we've been in the trenches together, although he's a lot younger than me. And I marvel at the wonderful things he's done with his organization, which, unlike the organization Mark and I run, he founded his, which is even tougher and shows that he's an entrepreneur. I do want to say a couple of things. You know, my kids watch his content. He really is impactful to younger people and to younger voters. I also think this is going to crescendo because we've had a lot of really, really troubling events in a row here, violence in this country. And I think it's really getting everyone's attention. They're different, they take different forms. The evil is there. And I'd like to just finally say, I'm earnestly praying for Charlie and for his wife and for his kids and in a broader sense for the country. I think the country, I don't think we're in a good place. I don't like seeing this, and we're seeing way too much of it. I'm just sorry that my friend is the latest victim of this violence.
Matt Schlapp, chairman of CPAC, on the record with Greta Van Susteren, which, don't forget, now airs at 4 p.m. Eastern. Greta was actually the first one to deliver the news of Charlie Kirk's death. We had been tracking the shooting and his critical condition, but it was during her show that we actually got the word of his death. For the record, I completely agree with Matt Schlapp there. We are seeing way too much violence, and we are not, as a country, in a good place right now. This didn't get any coverage because of Charlie Kirk, but there was also another school shooting yesterday, around the time of Kirk's shooting. At least 2 students were wounded in a shooting at a suburban Denver high school. There was a situation somewhere, it may have even been in my state of Florida, I don't remember, but there was a situation somewhere where a 6-year-old brought a gun to school. As for politics, President Trump was shot at the campaign rally in Pennsylvania last year, right? A few months after that, a second attempt on Trump's life at his Florida golf course, as Rob Finnerty had mentioned. That suspect is now on trial in Florida, where open arguments got underway today. In June, a Minnesota state representative and her husband were shot to death in their home. Remember that? Other representatives were beaten up in their home. And then the 2 Israelis killed in D.C. And the list of political violence goes on. Not to mention all the crime against civilians in multiple cities that we've been talking about. One more segment, and this is from Greg Kelly Reports, who you heard earlier. Greg thinks, as many do, that Charlie Kirk could have someday become the president.
Rest assured, Charlie Kirk was going to be president someday. I told him that in person. He had the talent, the intelligence, the eloquence, the charisma, the stature. He wasn't quite yet old enough, but come 2028, wouldn't have been then 32, 36, whatever. I felt like it was destiny for him. And that will not happen. What happened today was barbaric, indescribable. These were the last moments of his life. He's at the top of his game. In the middle of liberal academia, but being celebrated by young people. He was winning hearts and minds. And he didn't do it through nastiness or calling people names or anything like that. It was just the power of truth. Charlie told the truth. Charlie was very close to God. His faith, everything he did, I feel, was for God and family and country. So we do have some news. At first, we thought there was somebody in custody who was responsible for this. That was the suggestion we had a little while ago from the FBI Director Kash Patel. This is some hours ago. The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. Now, minutes ago, we have a new tweet. The subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. So the man who did this, the person who did this, the woman, man, who knows, is out there somewhere at large.
That is Greg Kelly, and that is where we are now at. Today, rightfully so, will be consumed by the anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks. But hopefully, we will get some word at some point that they have caught this weak, demented, hate-filled scumbag, whoever he or she is. Charlie Kirk was a brilliant, hardworking young man that achieved so much already and really was just getting started. 31 years old, a husband and a father. President Trump, as I mentioned, attending the ceremony at the Pentagon this morning, scheduled to attend the New York Yankees game tonight. At this point, you're likely not much of a George W. Bush fan. I mentioned earlier that he released a statement on Charlie Kirk's shooting, but going back to September 11th, when then President George Bush threw out the first pitch at the Yankees game, a World Series game after 9/11, in a stand of unity, strength, and defiance, it was awesome. Again, if you're old enough to remember that, it was awesome. It's still awesome. I have goosebumps right now talking about it. If you've never seen the documentary of that day with Derek Jeter, you absolutely must see it. I'm telling you, it will give you goosebumps, and it will certainly renew your patriotism. Once again, the worst people that commit unimaginable crimes brings out the best in the rest of us. It's really tragic that it takes some kind of a tragedy, like what happened yesterday, to bring us together as people and as a country. At least for a day or 2 days, yesterday and today, most of the country stood up and will stand up and say, what is wrong? This is not how it's supposed to be, and we must do something to end it. And we have a president that is truly trying to do that. We never really know what the day is going to bring, so make sure you're nice to people, love your family, your friends, tell them how important they are to you, do some reflecting on this day. God bless, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.